Well, let me actually let you do the introductions, Ross. Talk about yourselves as well as about Blackbaud, and let's get our audience up to speed about what's happening here. Something really interesting is cooking.
Sure. I'm Roz Lemieux. This is Rachel Hutchison. We're live from BBCon, which is Blackbaud's big annual conference and their premier tech gathering for social good. It's about, 2,500 people?
Oh, no, Roz. We have almost 4,000 people.
Almost 4,000?
Yeah, like at least 3,600. You just lost 1,000. It's really big.
I was getting that info.
Yeah, really big.
People here. And Rachel is literally just came off this main stage for the closing. So,
and you've already announced the challenge there.
We did that yesterday. It was great. It was so well received.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of interest already. Rachel, do you want to give a little background on who you are?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rachel Hutchison. It's really great to be with you today. I lead Blackbaud's corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So all the ways that we seek to give back as a company. So I've been with the company a really long time, almost 28 years since we started with, I think there were about 100 people when I started. So it was very small and very entrepreneurial. And then I've gotten to see that journey as we've grown up and gotten outside investment and gone public, but I still very much remember those early days. And we talk about how we power an ecosystem of good through what we do as a company. And my job is really to make sure that we really show up as an active participant in that ecosystem. And I do think that I have the best job in the world.
I also have your background a little bit as well. You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so my name's Roz again. I wear a few different hats at Blackbaud. I run our internal incubation team called Blackbaud Labs. We do a few different roles there. One is help foster a culture of innovation, like we host our big annual hackathon. We have in the expo hall here a big booth that has all kinds of cool stuff like VR and AR and IoT displays and so forth. So kind of that piece. We also incubate new product ideas with our own internal team. I also manage our developer platform portfolio. So the infrastructure on which external partners, including startups and social good space, can build tools and services around for Blackbaud customers, shared customers. And then now we're launching this startup piece so that we can support social good startups that want to work with Blackbaud and expand the tools that are available to our awesome customers.
Fantastic. Well, it's also a very exciting week when we are launching this. You must have seen in the media that three economists actually have won the Nobel Prize for Economics for working in poverty alleviation, and two of them I actually know personally, Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo at MIT, and their work is really interesting and inspiring. I've been following their work for a decade almost now, and they're measuring, poverty alleviation policies and measures around the world and making it more scientific. So it's so exciting, and it's such a great week to launch this alongside that announcement. So talk about Blackbaud a little bit. What is the company all about? You have more than 2,000 customers in the social good space. So let's understand a bit better about the Blackbaud, the company.
Yeah, and just to clarify the numbers, we have 4,000 physically here in the building with us.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have tens of thousands.
Yeah, so I think that right now we have about 45,000 customers, and they really span that ecosystem. So we work with individuals. So those would be individual people who are taking causes in their own hands, and they're going out and they're doing either crowd fundraising for a charity or crowdfunding campaigns. We work with nonprofit organizations, and that ranges the spectrum from higher education, K-12, healthcare, any kind of nonprofit you can think of, including churches. So really rich array of organizations there that touch all different
lots of arts and culture organizations as well, right?
Yeah, arts and cultural, all different kinds of organizations. The third group is funders, so foundations, corporate, family, private, or community foundations, which are a different kind of nonprofit focused on grant making. And then the fourth is actual corporate, so corporates like PwC, IBM, Adidas, organizations that are using our technology specifically designed for them in their workplace as an engagement tool for their people. And it does things like helps them get involved in volunteerism, helps them get their matching gift, it gives them a channel to give to causes. And we actually just implemented that system ourselves about a month and a half ago. So it's all those different kinds of organizations with tools that are specialized for them.
Very cool.
So I'm sorry.
Go
I
on.
just wanted to say also, so we've been around for nigh on three decades or so.
Yeah.
Kind of grew up, a lot of folks knew us for fundraising software.
Yep.
Razor's Edge is a pretty familiar name in our space, but we've grown over this time. We have software that includes CRM, marketing. Rachel mentioned the corporate social responsibility software, school management, grant making, financial management. It goes on and on, all kind of packaged up into those vertical solutions that are really sort of specific to the needs of those different verticals.
You know, what I also find very cool about Blackbaud is that you're in Charleston, South Carolina. You know, one of the things that always motivated me in working with 1Mby1M is we work with entrepreneurs all around the world, and here you have a great case study of a successful entrepreneurial journey across 3 decades from Charleston, South Carolina, where you have built a very sizable company that has gone public and been successful as a public company. So that's also something that inspires me personally.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful privilege to be a part of that journey. The company was actually founded in 1981 in New York in the Long Island area, and that was just a very expensive, difficult place for a startup. And, you know, people couldn't afford to live anywhere near the office. They were, you know, young couples starting to want to get married and buy houses and et cetera. And our founder, Tony Bacher, was really ahead of the curve on that idea of quality of life. And he was British, and he wanted to move somewhere in the East Coast, but somewhere that would provide a good, more affordable place for families. And I mentioned he was British because one of the reasons he chose Charleston was that it felt kind of European to him. It has this it's an old city. It's one of the oldest cities in America. And so he chose it and really put our roots there. And then from there, you know, he ran us for the first 18 years. We got that outside investment, then we went public, and it's been so fascinating just to watch how we've evolved as an organization, but keeping what we now call social good, because that wasn't a term in the 80s, but and purpose at the heart of what we do.
And it would be very interesting to see this program that we're going to be doing together, how much of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial activity from Charleston we can draw in, because this is the perfect opportunity for Charleston entrepreneurs to plug right into the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's
all right. So
one of our motivations. I'll just say as a personal plug, I, having been with Blackbaud for 3 years or so now, moved to Charleston last December, and it was a great move.
I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about what we are trying to accomplish with the partnership between 1Mby1M and Blackbaud.
Sure, I'll start. The partnership's really part of Blackbaud's commitment to powering what we call the ecosystem of good, which is inclusive of all the mission-based organizations that we serve, all the other software and services companies that support those organizations, you know, in maximizing their impact alongside Blackbaud.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this because as a corporate social responsibility professional and someone who's really interested in sustainability, you know, we have our second social responsibility report coming out actually next week, which really focuses on all the ways we give back. You know, I'm not just focused on the traditional giving and volunteering. I'm really also motivated to talk about and amplify the things that we do around tech for good, the way we operate and make good decisions as a social good company. So this is a great example of not just expanding products that are available, but expanding that ecosystem and investing in helping smaller entities and entrepreneurs who might not be able to do this on their own leverage that. And it's such an investment and win for everyone because our customers win and there's more goodness out there. And particularly, in looking for diversity in the applications and people we fund, that's also going to help us invest in diverse communities.
Yeah, I'll say for me, a big piece of this is about driving innovation in our space. I am also an entrepreneur. Samantha, you sort of hinted at this at the beginning. My path to Blackbaud was through acquisition. I had been in the nonprofit space or grassroots organizing, ran a nonprofit for a little bit, which was a training institute, started a digital agency, and then a software company called Attentively, which is now Blackbaud company. So that's how I came in to be part of this organization. And I just see a lot of other companies that are like Attentively was a few years ago, startups that are doing something different, innovative, pushing the envelope that really add value in a different way than Blackbaud's really thinking about doing right now. And so I wanted to create a pathway to support those organizations and a pathway for Blackbaud to partner with them. Mm-hmm. In case you haven't sort of picked it up from our description, Blackbaud's kind of the 800-pound gorilla in our space. So we do invest a huge amount in R&D. We're always innovating. And my team, Blackbaud Labs, helps drive some of the exploration of disruptive technologies. But at the end of the day, there's thousands of startups out there that are looking to serve our same customer base. And, frankly, in some ways, they're more nimble. They bring diversity of thought that no one company could do, no matter how big we were. So the way for us to be of service to our customers and to the social good ecosystem is not to try to do everything ourselves, because that's just not possible, but also to serve as a platform for social good innovation and support those startups to ensure that they have success to build the solutions that are going to drive those delightful and really impactful experience for our shared customer base.
Let's talk a bit about what types of customers are we looking for this Blackbaud 1 million by 1 million challenge.
Sure. The best fit applicants are going to be those startups that serve Blackbaud's 8 verticals. So, we can be, I think, the best kind of partner when we're, working with the same kind of customers. Yeah. So arts and culture organizations, corporate social responsibility, faith communities, foundations and grant makers, healthcare organizations, higher education institutions, K-12 schools, and nonprofit organizations are the kind of big buckets. We're looking for early stage software companies with a product in market. So for this round, not so much idea stage, maybe some future day, but round one, we're looking for companies that have a product in market, at least one paying customer, so a little bit of validation, and ideally that either do integrate with the Blackbaud product or that, that would make sense for them at some point in the future. That last one's not a totally hard requirement, but again, it's about to whom can we be the most useful partner?
Yeah, how can we amplify what they're doing and leverage this channel that we've built over the past 40 years.
Yeah. So let's do a few examples, and this will help our entrepreneurs understand what types of applications are being built, on the Blackbaud platform or integrating with the Blackbaud platform.
Sure. I've got a few examples. Hopefully these companies won't mind me putting them on the spot since we haven't actually officially opened applications yet. But in my mind, I'm picturing companies like Tuesday Company. They have a mobile app that is for volunteer engagement. It's really complementary to the kind of stuff that we offer at Blackbaud. So their Teams app, basically volunteers bring that, let's say, to a college where they're an alumni and they volunteered to do phone calls. It maps the alumni prospect list or any prospect list to their own contact list and tees up text messages for them to basically invite their friends and family to give to that college or organization. So really cool kind of new use of mobile tech. so that's one. Free Will is another organization, another company that's really interesting. They offer, they're B2C, so they have this consumer-facing website that is for anybody to go and make a free will. So you can go and it kind of walks you through in this really user-friendly way how to draft a will, and along the way you say where you'd like to allocate your resources when your time comes, and that can include gifting them to nonprofits and causes that you care about.
That's a really interesting topic. I was in the UK earlier this year, and an organization there was talking about how do we help people really from a perspective of something they really need, make sure they have wills. And yes, if they also want to leave money to a nonprofit or a charity, that's wonderful. But fundamentally, the first piece is making sure that all these people who have families and children and assets actually get a will, which is kind of the corporate social responsibility first need. But then beyond that, there can be a wonderful lift for the charitable community.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It changes their whole theories. It really changes the relationship of the nonprofit to that individual over the course of their lifetime. You know, I may not be a person who, today would be considered a major donor prospect, but if I'm gifting my home to an organization, that really changes.
Policy, there are all these different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are a couple interesting ones. There's some AI companies out there that are sort of very complementary to the stuff we do. That's interesting. We have a few partners today in our tech partner program that, had we caught them at an earlier stage, would have been the kind of companies that we're looking for. A couple are here actually at BBCon. Gather Voices is a company that they have software for individual supporters to do video on their phone to tell their own stories of why they support an organization's mission.
And they've been doing that here at BBCon, which is really cool.
Yeah, and they've been around for a few years now, so they're probably a little more mature than the companies that will apply, but really cool. And another one is QZM, if I'm saying their name right. So they've got an AR app that allows arts and culture organizations to create apps. So when you're going through a museum, for example, it gives you additional information on the pieces and the exhibits there. They also have a mobile guest pass application. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. So, the basis of this partnership is that entrepreneurs who win the 1M Blackbaud scholarships are going to have access to the 1M premium program, and through that, access to coaching, mentoring, as well as access to investors, potential customers through our network. That is that's the platform that everybody who follows 1Mby1M is already familiar with. But there are additional benefits to this partnership, which is number one is access to the Blackbaud customer base, and you've just said it's 45,000 plus customers that Blackbaud has, and for early stage entrepreneurs, sorry?
45,000 customers, yeah.
Yeah, 45,000 customers, absolutely. So, one of the biggest challenges for early stage entrepreneurs is getting customer validation and getting, going from 0 to 5 customers, 0 to 1 customer, then 1 to 5 customers, and 5 to 100 customers and beyond. So that is tremendously attractive for entrepreneurs who would be considering applying for this. So talk about what else are you bringing to the table with this partnership.
You want to start?
Sure. So I know one of the things that Roz is really passionate about, and you should probably talk about the App Store platform, is this time next year we'll be in Seattle for BBCon 2020, and we really hope to lift up and highlight some of the entrepreneurs that we've invested in and who have made some great progress and really help to share their stories. And whenever Blackbaud does an event, it's not just for the people who are sitting there and actively involved in the event. We're always very open about sharing lots of things through our social ecosystem. So, I've done, I think, 8 or 9 interviews at this event to help share really good stories out that we'll be pushing out afterwards. So we do that, and then we also do lots of targeted things depending on, so Roz mentioned some applications that are very specific to certain kinds of organizations, and so they don't need to reach our full customer base. They want to reach a targeted group, and we have a full array of different events that are led by our global marketing team that might just be for faith communities or just for healthcare, or just for higher ed, and so it's easy for us to kind of map someone into the right place, both through bbcon 2020, where we want to definitely lift up some specific stories and celebrate what we've accomplished, but also through these hundreds of things that we do throughout the year, both in person, but also through virtual activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Rachel mentioned our developer platform. There's some specific sort of technical ways that we offer now to get startups and really partner companies in front of customers. So developing on our platform, we now offer ways to one, show up in-app in an app marketplace, and then two, actually show some functionality inside of our customers' primary CRM or primary fundraising software. So that's something we would work with startups to help get them in the daily workflow of customers if that was appropriate. And then we have part of the idea here is to get startups that are a great fit with our ecosystem, access to some of the things that normally really much larger partners would have access to. So finding those places where they can plug into our marketing events or customer events as appropriate.
Yeah, and we have real insight to that because as a company, we're often asked to support things in order to have access to communities. And we really know the power of kind of plugging people in ways that are a little bit different, and removing those barriers to the degree that we can.
Terrific. Now, the last piece of the incentives that we are offering through this is access to the Blackbaud New Startup Fund. And there's a $5,000 to $25,000 grant that that startups may be considered for. So talk a little bit more about what your thoughts are around the startup fund.
You start.
Okay, so very simply, all the scholarship winners will be considered for a grant. They are grants, so there's no strings attached. It's not an equity investment. So that's the type of funding they would get from the new fund. You already mentioned it would range $5,000 to $25,000. On the smaller end, they may be simply to help offset, say, the cost of an integration. We know there's a lot of tough decisions when you're small and you're getting started. On the larger end, maybe that helps accelerate the business for go-to-market. It's really our first time doing this, so we're learning also in doing it what our partners' needs are. So we're pretty flexible in how we're going to distribute those next year.
Yeah, and I actually went to Roz because I was so excited about this, that this is just another way for the company to engage as a participant in that ecosystem, that, looking at applicants and looking, are there women or minority-owned businesses that are applying? Are there ways that we can help lift up certain affinity groups or help a community or an entrepreneur that's doing something that's really focused on veterans, or all sorts of different things. So we're really trying to take a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to it as well. And as Rod said, we're learning, but I think it's important for us to start there versus saying later, oh, we have the successful program, now let's layer that in. So that's really exciting to me.